Hey there, you guys. So it's been a little bit. So today I have two things kind of to go over in this video, and then yeah. Anyway, so I have my wrap up for May, which is really exciting. But then I also kind of have a bit of a book haul. So as you guys saw, I went on vacation, like a little mini 3-day vacation with myself, which was super fun. But I did buy some books while I was gone. I just kind of said, you know what the heck? And actually, I've already read 5 of the 7 that I bought over like that time span. So we're gonna start off with those 2 books that I have not read yet. Because actually I haven't read 3 of them. One of them's on my TBR for this month. It's a jumbled up thing. So the first 2 books that I picked up were at completely separate times. So they are sequels to one another. The first of which is The Girl in the Castle by Santa Montefiore. This is actually a foreign novel. I can't remember where it was translated from. Let me look. It's an international bestseller. Let me look. Well, it's an English novel, so the author is English, lives over in England. So this is the first book in, I believe, a trilogy. And then the second book is The Daughters of Ireland. So there's a bargain bookstore in Birch Run, which is near the hotel that I was staying at. And so there was a bargain bookstore, and so I figured, why not? I'll go in, do whatever, because it's like a book outlet sort of thing. It's called Book Warehouse, basically the same thing as Book Outlet. And they had The Daughters of Ireland, and I read the synopsis and was like, this seems really good. You know what? To heck with it, I'll pick it up. It sounds really interesting. I then got home and went on Goodreads that night and was like, okay, here, let me update. Like, I'll add to my want to read list, and saw it was number 2 in the series. And that The Girl in the Castle actually came first. So I went on Amazon and went ahead and picked this book up so that I could read both of them, you know, in a timely manner. The other book that I got is actually on the floor, sorry. The other book that I picked up that I have not gotten a chance to read yet was actually the Barnes & Noble edition of The Secret Garden. There was a used bookstore in the River Place shops in downtown Frankenmuth, and so this is in like perfect condition, so I figured why not pick it up. And then I'll read this edition versus the other edition that I have, this is the other version that I have of it, but I feel like this is going to be a more, an easier version for me to read. So I'm excited to get to this next month, but I'll talk about that in my next video. And then the next 3 books that I picked up over a course of time, I've actually already read. So we'll go ahead and get into those in a minute, but I want to kind of go in order of the books that I read this month. So the first book that I finished, you saw that I finished it because it is Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I finished this while I was in Frankenmuth. And it was honestly, it ended nicely. It took me a really long time to get into it, honestly. And I'm not sure why. It was just like, the format of it was kind of weird. It was in dual perspective, but really overlapping dual perspective, so it just took me a little while, and then I started listening to the audiobook, and it really helped me get through this book. So that's why this was kind of my first audiobook that I listened to the entirety of it, and really enjoyed listening to the audiobook versus reading the physical book. I did obviously finish this by reading the physical book because I had to return the audiobook. The way I use the Libby app on my phone through my local library, and the way it works there is you can only check out a audiobook / ebook for 14 days. So you can only check it out for 2 weeks. So I had used it up and didn't finish it in time before it returned itself. So, and then there were people waiting for it, so it's not like I could renew it like you could normally. There were people had it on hold. So it was okay. I think I gave it a 3 or a 4 on Goodreads, just because I didn't get into it super fast in the beginning. I'm also trying out new video formats, as you guys can tell. I also just got out of the shower. That's why I keep fluffing my hair, because I don't want it to dry weird. So just like that. Anyway, so the second book I also finished while I read it stem to stern while I was in Frankenmuth, and that is Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. The second book in the Percy Jackson Olympians series, which was supposed to be reread in February due to my timeline. But then life happened, and I didn't read it all in February. And then March was insane, so I didn't read anything in March. It's just been a crazy year so far, and it's June 2nd. So, anyway. But yeah, so I read this. It was so nice to reread it. Yada, yada, yada. 5 out of 5 stars, blah, blah, blah. Anywho. And then I got on a little bit of a children's book spree. So one of these books I also got at the used bookstore as well. I've been reading some children's stories in order to kind of research stories that I might want to do next fall, because I'm actually directing a show next fall with a bunch for children's theater, and so I'm super excited for that. But there are some stories that I'm not really familiar with, so I've been reading the actual book form of them before I wanted to read the scripts. I'm not doing any of these 3 because the books didn't really get me very much. I gave all of these either a 2 or a 3 on Goodreads. Part of that could be that they aren't really for me. I don't really read children's stories anymore like this, like actual young children's stories that I've never read before. They're just kind of not my cup of tea, I'm guessing, at this point. So the first one that I read was Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. And then I picked up James and the Giant Peach, also by Roald Dahl. And then The Little Prince, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the French name of this author. Anywho. So I read these 3. Didn't love them, honestly. I gave them all 2 or 3 stars on Goodreads, but they helped me catch up with my reading goal. So I am back on track with my reading because I actually finished this next book. So, but yeah, so anyway, there's those. And then, y'all are gonna be so shocked with me unless you follow me on Goodreads, and then you will have already seen this. But I finally finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. It is finally done and can be added to my read shelf. So I'm now over halfway through, I think. Book-wise, yes. Page count, who knows. I am now over halfway through J.K. Rowling's books because I finished this one massive book. But now I get to read even larger, massive books of J.K. Rowling's. So anyway, and honestly, the thing that helped me the most with this was that I was able to loan the audiobook for it from my local library. What is my hair doing? Whatever. You guys don't care at this point. You've seen me look way worse. Anywho, I was able to loan the book or the audiobook for this, and so I could just sit and listen to it and work on something or do something else or clean my room, be productive, do something that wasn't just sitting here reading and feeling like this massive book was just going to swallow me up. I think that's really what helped me this month, was the fact that I was able to read this and, you know, actually just sit and listen to it. Technically, I finished this yesterday on June 1st, but it has been so long, I wanted to throw it into this wrap-up so that it's done and it's out of my life it's not out of my life. I still really like the story. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was still an awesome story, and it was awesome to see the differences between this and the film, because that's been the biggest thing for me reading the Harry Potter books, is seeing those differences and knowing that the story is so much more fleshed out in the books than they are in the movies. I still really enjoy the movies. I obviously grew up on the movies versus reading the books. That's why I'm rereading them. I'm reading them now. But yeah, so I'm finished with this. Order of the Phoenix, it will be a few months before I even attempt that one. But you know, anywho. That is it for this video today. That was the 6, technically 5, but 6 books that I managed to read in the month of May, which it has been forever since I have read this much in a month. So the fact that I'm back on track with my reading goal, and the fact that I was able to finish so much, especially finishing Goblet of Fire. I read like 600 pages of that, I think, this month, technically, listening to it, because I was only on chapter 8 at the start of the month. So the fact that I was able to finish it and actually read it and finish that book this month, in addition to reading other things, is a really big accomplishment for me. And so I don't know what June will look like, but since I'm back on track, I do only have to finish 2 to 3 books every month to stay on track. If I finish more than that, great. My TBR is definitely larger than 2 to 3 books. Eventually, maybe I will slow it down and only put 2 or 3 books on my TBR. That would be nice, but you know. So just as an update of where my TBR pile is at, because I think that's what I'm kind of going to do at the end of every one of my wrap-ups now. I am at 91 books. So I started the month off at 90 and ended at 91. So I guess that's not bad that I only raised 1 book with this purchasing of a few. But I read enough this month to be able to actually lower that number. And then I'm definitely finishing a book or 2 this month. One of them will definitely be a reread, but one of them will definitely be a new read. So I'll at least get back down to 90 by the end of June, but we'll see where it goes. July, I think, is still when Booktubeathon is happening, and I do still plan on participating in that. I do have a vacation in the beginning of July. I actually leave exactly 31 days from today, so I'm really, really pumped about that. So I won't be reading it all while I'm gone there. I may bring like a tiny skinny book of some form. Like I might bring a Rick Riordan book that'll be a reread. But at the same time, we aren't checking luggage, so I know we're gone for a week, so I have to fit an entire week's worth of everything in one tiny suitcase and a duffel bag. So I don't think I will have extra room for a book for being gone for a week. And then I get back and leave a day later for a wedding. So it's pretty much a week and a half of my time in July when nothing's really going to be able to happen reading wise, unless I listen to audiobooks, which is a total possibility, because I'm really enjoying those now. So anywho, that's it for this video today, guys, and I will see you guys all soon in my next video. Goodbye!